I've been watching this. Hi, I've been watching this a new channel recently. Oh God, I forgot her name now. She's really good. She goes into does these deep dive into the psychology of various famous people, and in particular their relationship patterns. And she does a couple of the Kardashians, which is very interesting because I think it's cool and trendy and whatever to criticize the Kardashians and call them stupid and all the rest. And I'm guilty of it as well. We all do it. But really, when you take them off the sort of famous pedestal and you just look at them like just a normal person, pretend they don't have billions of dollars, and you look at those patterns, Chloe in particular, you're just being constantly cheated on by all these different partners. If she was your friend in real life, you wouldn't be saying the same things. You wouldn't be so critical. You'd be like, girl, like, come on, have some self-respect. Like, let's go to therapy or something. And it's funny, we look at celebrities and all their dysfunction and we go, oh, isn't she so stupid having the same relationship over and over again with all these different people, all these guys that cheat on her. And then we look at our own lives and it's like, oh, I do exactly the same thing. I keep having the same relationship over and over again. And I recognized this pattern like quite a few years ago. I thought, right, okay, the first step is admitting you have a problem, right? So, you do all the therapy and all the self-awareness and all that stuff. And it does get better. It does get better. But old habits die hard. And this new channel I've been watching, I wish I could remember the name. I'll find it and I'll put a link in the description. Hopefully I'll remember. She's absolutely amazing, the way she breaks these things down. And something she keeps saying over and over again, which is really uncomfortable to hear, but necessary. She keeps saying, if you feel like you don't deserve love, you'll settle for being needed. Which is the fundamentals of codependency, what it really comes down to. It's such an uncomfortable thing to sit with, but so necessary. If you want to at some point have a good relationship one day, that would be nice, wouldn't it? You have to change what you're attracted to. Again, easier said than done. When you're taught as a kid that your value, your self-worth, is dependent on how useful you are to other people, you will seek out that dynamic in friendships, in romantic relationships, even in business. You'll have a tendency to shortchange yourself. You'll go above and beyond and you'll feel guilty asking to be compensated in return, even though that's literally what business is. It's about getting paid and providing a service, but you're not running a charity, it's a business. But when you were sort of put into that serving mentality, I don't think there's anything wrong with that inherently, but it has to come within a set of boundaries based on self-respect and self-care. And a big part of codependency, like that woman is saying, if you don't feel worthy of love, you will settle for being needed. You'll settle for the caretaking role, whether that is like emotional caretaking. A lot of the time that's what it is. It could be something else. But really what it comes down to, I think something I'm starting to realize on my journey away from codependency, something I just thought of then is, you don't have to be anxiously attached, like clingy, to be codependent. I'm more I mean, these days I'm fairly securely attached because I've done a lot of work with that sort of thing. But if I lean in either direction, typically I lean more avoidant than anxious. I think there is a bit of a view that if you're more avoidant and kind of aloof and detached, that you can't be codependent. That's not true. It's your attachment style. I don't know if it has any effect on codependency. It probably does. But you can definitely be more avoidant and still codependent. Anyway, where was I going with that? Yeah, something I've been coming to terms with is the differences, trying to work out the difference between, because you think about, okay, what would it be like to have a healthy relationship where we love each other and we're there to support each other, but without that codependency? It's like where exactly is the line between interdependency, where you can rely on each other in a healthy way, and codependency? Okay, where exactly is the line? What exactly does it look like on either side of that fence? Not that there's an exact fence, there's a gray area in between, obviously. But just for argument's sake, let's pretend it's a clear black and white. It's not, but let's pretend. And I've been thinking about that a lot recently. I can't remember if I said this already. I'm sorry, my memory is absolutely appalling. I've only had one long-term, like one serious relationship in the last 7 years. And that was about, we were together for about 2 years. And again, I've gotten to that codependency thing where I was like overgiving. And that's not a good thing. I'm not saying this like I'm some beacon of altruism, because I'm not. Overgiving, it kind of looks nice on the outside. It can maybe make you look good, I guess. But realistically, when we are overgiving and we are not prioritizing our own needs, not in a selfish way, but just for the sake of caring for yourself, respecting yourself. And this is what I was getting to earlier, is that I think this is the fundamental difference between relying on each other in a healthy way and codependency, is where you don't overgive to the extent of neglecting yourself in order to take care of the other person, or what is it I'm trying to think of? In order to enable them, in order to enable their not wanting to take responsibility for their own needs, right? Especially, I feel like this is especially typical with like emotional needs. If they don't know how to nurture themselves to an extent, I mean, we all need each other. We are tribal animals at the end of the day. We're pack animals at the end of the day. Just like wolves. We're so similar to wolves in a lot of ways, socially speaking. And when we neglect ourselves, it kind of looks altruistic, but it's not. Because when we do that, like I said, we're enabling our partner to continue not taking responsibility for their own needs. Meanwhile, we become, over time, we end up becoming resentful. And you might want to think of yourself as like super patient and loving and nurturing and kind and loyal and all the rest. But there's only so long you can keep that up before it starts to grate on you a little. And then it's going to start bringing out the worst in you as a person. It just does, because you're drained. You're You're giving and giving and giving. You're not being sown back into, energetically speaking. You're being taken from like a well. It's just being drawn from constantly, and it's not being replenished. There's no rain or something like that. I don't know where I'm going with that analogy. You get what I'm saying. And when we overgive in these dynamics, what we're really doing is we're neglecting ourselves. We think we're being loving to the other person, but the flip side of that is that we're neglecting ourselves. And not only are we neglecting ourselves, we're neglecting the people around us who are not draining us, okay? The people who are not energy vampires. They genuinely respect us. They respect our boundaries. They respect our time. And they want a reciprocal relationship that is actually a two-way street where we give to each other. We neglect those people, not on purpose, but because we don't believe, really, deep down, we don't believe that we're worthy of that kind of equal partnership. When I say partnership, it could just be with a friend, we don't believe we're deserving of that equal give and take within a relationship. And so we allow someone who's more of an energy vampire to just drain us dry, and we have nothing left to give back to the people who are actually always there for us. I've done this a few times in my life. And this has happened to me a few times where someone I really genuinely care about, and they just never have the time for me unless they're in an absolute crisis. And then it's like, I end up feeling a little bit like I'm being used. And I know that's not their intention. And yet that's how it feels, because they give all of their time to these people that are just draining the life out of them. So this is like the shadowy side of codependency is we do tell ourselves that, well, I just want to help him. Oh, I just want to help her. And that's true. But two truths can exist at the same time. And the other side of it is that we don't want to care for ourselves. That's sad. But so many of us have been taught that to care for yourself, if that means not doing what someone else needs you to do, that you're really selfish. You're selfish, you're self-absorbed. And it's so uncomfortable. I'm like, I need to give myself a little hug. It is so uncomfortable. It is so uncomfortable when you've got someone like that in your life and they're draining the life out of you, and you know that you need to, I'm not saying you have to cut them out completely, but you need to sort of like sever that tie a little bit. You can't keep setting yourself on fire to keep someone else warm because they refuse to light a fire for themselves. It's like you walk away and they're like, oh, I'm freezing. You've got wood, you've got matches. Like, why are you demanding that I stick around and light all your fires for you when I've got other things to do? So it's it's such a difficult thing to work through, and I'm going to keep working on it. Definitely getting better. Not quite there yet, unfortunately. But that's okay. That's okay. And if you're in the same place, which you probably are, which is why you clicked on this video, it's okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to be aware of. That's becoming one of my favorite sayings. Anytime I get this little like, ugh, I think, no. It's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to be aware of. And we're just going to keep working through it. And one day, well, in a couple years probably, these things never happen overnight, unfortunately, One day you're going to look back and think, wow, I've got like some real boundaries these days. I'm treating myself with a lot of respect. And when you treat yourself with respect, you find this is what I've found anyway. You find other people start treating you with a lot more respect, because the people who would have tried to overstep boundaries, people who are sort of exploitative, they can sense it. They can feel it when you're not that kind of person who's going to bend over backwards and be taken advantage of. They feel it and they stop trying. They will sort of poke a little bit, and if you're just really, you can have boundaries. You can say no to someone without exploding or anything. You don't need to do that. But even just little things, someone asks a favor of you, they might not be an exploitative person, but it's just little steps, like someone asks you a favor and you don't automatically say, yeah, of course I can. You stop. They ask the favor of you and you pause and you go, and you just take a second and be completely comfortable with the silence. You do not need to answer straight away. Take a couple seconds and just say, okay, let me think. And just check how it feels. Do you want to do this favor for them? If it doesn't feel good, if you think, oh God, I'm so fucking exhausted, to be honest, just say that. Say like, I would like to, but honestly, I can't. I need to go home and have a sleep. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sit on my ass and like eat some cake or something, because that's what I want to do. It's those little baby steps where you just take back a little bit of ground for yourself. You respect yourself. You respect how you're feeling in your body and how your emotions are feeling as well. And in doing that, I found like when you do that, you start to develop more respect for yourself, because you're no longer treating yourself as though you were born into this world to be a living doormat for other people, which I think is what a lot of us, that's what we seem to think, that we're just born to be subservient and to do whatever other people need us to do for them, even if it means neglecting our own needs. Like you think about dogs and horses. You think about people who will absolutely flog a horse, and the horse is clearly exhausted, they're drained, they need a rest. What do we say to people like that? They are abusing, they're mistreating a horse, right? They get in trouble, yeah? It's very frowned upon. I mean, it still happens, but it's frowned upon, right? And what do we say? Well, that horse needs to rest. Let them rest. But we treat ourselves like some kind of machine that doesn't have needs, shouldn't have needs. And if you have needs and you need rest, or you need some peace and quiet from someone else's drama, you're weak. That's what we tell ourselves. What are we doing? What are we doing here? Why are we neglecting ourselves like this? It's not about being entitled or, people talk about self-love and it's always like, yeah, buy a pizza and watch Netflix and sit on your ass for 6 weeks on end. No, that's not self-love. That is a different type of self-neglect. But this overworking, excessive hustling, excessive, workaholism, doing too many favors for people, it looks pretty on the outside. It looks like altruism. It looks like, oh, I'm just such a giving, generous, nice person. It is a lack of self-respect. It is a lack of self-love dressed up as goodness. And that's not what it is. I'm not saying it, I do favors for people. I like doing favors for people. It makes me feel good. It's nice. It feels good. You feel all, feel all gooey on the inside. It's a nice thing. But not when it is at the expense of your own needs. Mm-mm. Not doing that anymore. Bye.